All right. Welcome everyone to the GDFL podcast. It is hosted by yours truly, Andrew Korn. And with me today, co-hosting this will be Levi, Hubbard, and Ryan. Say hello, boys.
Hey,
Go Cows,
All right.
go Lions.
Go Lions.
go Lions.
Unfortunately, it was a bad week for our Lions last week, but they'll be bouncing back this upcoming week against the Cardinals. Anywho, just to give everyone in the league an overview of what's going to go down. So the first half of this podcast is going to be us talking about the league, what's been going on in the scores, standings, any notable trades or waiver pickups that are worthwhile talking about. And then the second half is going to be more of a creative element. And this week it's going to be what I'm deeming the league's heroes and villains. Mostly from my favorite Survivor season, Survivor Heroes versus Villains is kind of where I got the inspiration of this. And I really wanted to see who in our league was a league hero and who was the league villains. And then without a further ado, so this is going to be uploaded to both YouTube and Spotify. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then you'll have a PowerPoint to go along with it. If you're just listening on Spotify, sorry, you have to listen to the sound of my voice for however long you're listening to this for. All right.
There's worse voices, Corn.
All right. So here we have our scores from weeks 1 and week 2. I don't really know if we're going to go too in depth to any specific matchup, but I guess I was just like wondering from each of you guys, was there any matchup any outcome that surprised you that happened in week 1 or week 2? Any upsets, anything surprising you?
I think the real big upset is the poop hive over me and Mahomes week 1. Week 2, there really weren't any surprises. Jake's team absolutely went astronomical. I forget who he is playing, but he had a good week. The Tiddly Whoppers.
And by the way, the Lansing Tiddly Whoppers is the front runner for league name of the year. So just wanted to throw that out there.
No surprise there.
No, I'm with you though. Jake went in week 2. Alvin Kamara had that massive performance and really put the team on his back. And then he's kind of going to need it with the injury to Cooper Kupp for this past week. So we'll see if his stars can continue to carry him throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean it was an explosive showing by Jake, but it's a matter of it all came in 1 week, and you wonder how many more of those will continue to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Jake's, I also think Sokol's 0-2 start. For me personally, that was a pretty big surprise. But now that I'm looking at his roster and we're 2 weeks in, it's a little less surprising just with how the season has unfolded thus far.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you there. I think Goff is going to be able to turn it around in these upcoming weeks, and then that's going to make Amon-Ra better. We'll see about Tyreek with Tua recently being placed on IR. And I mean, Olave is going to go off at some point. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, him starting 0-2 is also a bit of a surprise for me. I mean, I still view him as one of the top contenders, but he's facing a little more of an uphill battle moving forward.
I mean, we're all slightly cheering for Sokol, right? We need Goff to play and perform well and put up fantasy points. Otherwise, none of this matters.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I will say one thing that did not surprise me was week 1, Shrew getting absolutely beat the fuck out of him by me. I saw that one coming from a mile away. Shrew set a horrendous lineup. He thought starting Deshaun Watson was a good idea. He's easily the worst quarterback on his team. I don't know what he was thinking there. Maybe he'll come on 1 week to defend himself, but
It wasn't a surprise to me for what
No
that's worth.
surprise. No surprise at all. That is the lowest we've seen in 2 weeks. Just saying. Not surprised there. But the fact is that Shrew has the lowest total score in a week through 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's got depth though.
Not
In
at
his
the
bottom.
top.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably have more to talk about there in the heroes and villains segment. I'm curious, Levi, before we get into and Corn, I might be jumping the gun here, but I'm curious if you want to speculate at all, Levi, who's at the top of the league villains chart and who's at the top of the heroes chart.
Speculation, I think the easy answer here is I'm speculating Shrew is the bad guy. He's kind of always been the bad guy, whether it's fantasy football, living in the same house, being near him. He's always been the bad guy. So I'm going to assume it's Shrew. As far as League Hero goes, though, I don't have a specific pick there. That's a tough one for me. I've been thinking about it since we got the survey, really. My dark horse pick is Stun because Stun has done a 180 and has a lot of players that I think a lot of people root for.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you any more, or excuse me, couldn't agree with you any more on the league villains. I have to assume that was everyone's choice. At the heroes end, I think I like the Stun pick. I also think that just kind of piggybacking off of the Jared Goff comments, I have to believe that Sokol is someone we all ride with, and then I also think that the Cows, the Holsteins, are probably a team that we all quietly cheer for, as we saw rock bottom for a couple years there, and what are we 1-1 now, and a tough loss in week 2, but I know personally I'm always cheering for the Cows if they're not matched up against the Poop Hive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
The Cows, they currently are in 6th place in the standings, are in the playoff picture, very much in the hunt. At least for me through 2 weeks, I'm not shocked to see Chaz and I at the top of the standings, considering we met in the finals last year. We got Jake and Stun here in 3rd and 4th, both starting 2-0. Bit of a surprise for me. I mean, they're both teams I would have pegged to start 1-1, but good for both of them to start 2-0 and gain off on the right foot. Yeah, like we said earlier, Mark had a bit of an upset week 1 against the Poop Hive.
Let's go Poop.
Let's go Poop. We'll see how Mark's able to continue too with that injury to Tua, and then also with Debo. His depth's can be tested pretty early on here.
I hate to interrupt. I just want to jump in and say we're seeing big motion out of the Tiddly Whoppers. While we're filming this, he just put Cooper Kupp and Christian Kirk on the trade block.
Oh.
Very interesting. We'll see if anyone bites on the injured Cooper Kupp, or if I don't know. Christian Kirk's off to a pretty dreadful start. I have him in all my other leagues except this one, so he might be hitting the waiver wire here soon if nothing picks up. But yeah, here are our standings. One that's probably, like I said, 0-2. Sokol's a bit of a surprise. Logan starting off at 0-2 is also a pretty rough start for him. He's pretty low on draft capital going into the next year, so he really needs to right the ship if he really needs to get his season going, really. He also said he was the only one not willing to listen to the podcast. So feel free to say as much shit about Logan as you want. This is there's gonna be no filter on this podcast. So whatever says goes.
Any word?
Any word. This is not gonna be safe for work.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we all knew Logan would fall off at some point. I really thought it was going to be last year. After last year, I would have assumed it was next year going into this year. But if it's this year, I'm rooting for it. And losing Love for the first 5 weeks, big red flag.
Mm-hmm. AJ Brown might also be out for a few weeks now here too. It could be a pretty ugly season here in Oak Park.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have, like you said, couldn't have been a worse start. The wave that Logan needed to ride is not there. Like you said, Love's not there. AJ Brown is who he rode early.
Yep.
Hawkinson is on IR to start. It's a rough start. I'm all for it. I own Logan's first round pick this year, and every loss that Logan picks up is a win for me.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. We like people who don't, or we're rooting for the people who support the podcast. We're not rooting for people who don't support it. So fuck you, Logan.
Logan sucks.
Then
you should go break another ankle.
Here's a quick glimpse of all the trades that have happened since the season started. It's just one pretty nothing trade. It might be the 402 or the 403 with how Logan's season started. He got his backup quarterback. He said he really was happy after he traded for Malik Willis that he traded for his backup. So I made sure he traded for his other one. Nothing too noteworthy here. I pick up a fourth. Logan gets his handcuff at quarterback.
Seems like an overpay at with Purdy healthy, but it's going to look like a steal here if Purdy does get hurt. But I tend to not like putting bets on my quarterbacks getting hurt.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you there. Although I guess I do have Clayton Tune. I drafted him last year. Looks like we have
Yeah,
another
I mean
best year in the back too.
you didn't give up draft capital for him though. I mean, I guess you used a
I
draft pick,
yeah, I did use pick on Tune last year, but that
sure.
was at the Tune could have been the starter week 1 last year. So where I took him, it was kind
Yeah,
of worth the gamble at the time of someone who might have been the starting quarterback week 1 for the Cardinals.
throw him on the taxi squad. If Kyler gets hurt, then you have the handcuff.
Yep.
There are 64 quarterbacks worth owning, if you ask me.
Mm.
This really is a fine trade, both all around.
All right. Here's a look at the upcoming schedule for this week. So, at least for me, the matchup that stands out would be me versus Mark because I had us as 1 and 2 in the power rankings to kick off the season. Another one that I'm really interested in is Shrew versus Levi. I think that's going to be one that's going to be pretty intense. And 2 teams that both really want to get a win there. Stun versus Chaz, a battle of Pistons season ticket holders. Really, this is a good week all around. We got the battle of the Giants down here at the bottom between Logan and Ryan. Yeah, should make for a good week of matchups.
I think a dark horse pick here. It looks like 38% chance of winning here, but I could see a scenario where Josh Allen catches fire and like we said, Jake was riding Cooper Kupp and Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara has been a boom or bust type of player most of his career, really. I could see high projections in that one and seeing Josh Allen light a fire and a upset for Trevor.
Yeah, definitely could see it. It's gonna be harder though if Pacheco now on IR. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, Trevor's really gonna be testing whatever depth he has on that roster. I don't even know who he's gonna be starting, to be honest. I haven't really been paying too much of attention to his team. I just kind of accepted that it's gonna be bad, and I just kind of ignore him.
Trevor's the favorite for the 101, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, currently, if the season ended today, though, it would go to Beans, who I think is right there in contention with him. So,
Oh, beans.
Well, it's rivalry week here in Grand Traverse, and we're coming out swinging, holding no punches. The big question will be, do we start Romo Dunze, who's questionable, and ideally snag some touchdowns from Caleb if he's capable of throwing them, which thus far he doesn't seem capable of throwing them. So you tell me.
yeah,
Definitely going with the Holsteins on that one.
mm-hmm. Oh, I will be too. It looks like True took a massive bust here at 101. Caleb's looking awful.
I
Probably
know who I would have
not
taken at 101.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you even told me
Yeah.
you were wanting to take Jaden Daniels. He was your guy all along. So we'll see if Caleb can turn it around for Shrew. I sure as hell hope not. I hate the Bears and I hate Shrew.
Fuck the Bears.
Fuck the Bears.
So that leads us into the GDFL heroes and villains rankings. So just like a quick overview of the methodology, we had a single choice grid where you rated each team on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being always root against and 5 being always root for. And you evaluated every team in the league. I did exclude rankings of your own team just because everyone's just going to give themselves a 5 there. I feel like that wasn't really necessary to show and also would have just like skewed the results a little bit. This isn't how you think of yourself. This is how the league views you. So then going back earlier, so I know the first slide here is going to be the league hero. So Ryan, who are your predictions again for the league hero again? And then Levi?
My predictions were Sokol, riding Goff, and Holsteins.
Okay. And then Levi, how about yourself?
I'm going to go with Stun, and I'm going to I called Stun my dark horse pick earlier, but I think that's a solid first pick. I think Jake is my dark horse pick.
Jake Pruitt?
Jake Pruitt. Yes, Jake Pruitt.
Okay. That's a bold take, I think. So let's take a look and see. It looks like our league hero is none other than Levi Hubbard with an average rating of 3.9. The majority of the league is rooting for you, Levi, and you're the only team in the league where no one actively roots against you.
That's awesome. No one actively roots against me. Not one person.
Not one person.
Oh,
You were
wow.
that bad.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I got a lot of clout through the GDBA, and I think a lot of our fans have actually just followed since then. I'm known for dramatic turnarounds. You know, I kind of assumed I might be the league hero. I didn't want to say it to jinx it, but I'm honored, everyone. Thank you.
And then also, yeah, Stun, I know that was your first pick earlier in the segment earlier. And I thought that was another fantastic pick. If I remember correctly, you two were the only ones with a score above a 3. So like a net, like favorable rating. I might be wrong. I'd have to double check and look at the final results here at the end, but
That's no
yeah,
surprise.
it was a 2-horse race the entire time, and it was between you two. And then I know
I'd be very interested to see what this looks like at this time next year.
Maybe we'll do this as a recurring poll. We'll see what happens. All right, and then league villain seems like Shrew was the runaway favorite in both of your guys' minds. Is there anyone else you think's even in contention?
Beans.
I'll throw Jake in there. Levi thought otherwise, but I think Jake could be a contender there.
Jake P.
Jake P.
Gotcha.
Leslie Lesles.
Yeah, I usually just call Sokol just to because I don't know. I've always known him as Sokol, so it's just kind of easier for me to refer him to as both Jake Pruitt or Jake and then Sokol. Our league villain is none other than Shrew. Shrew had no one rooting for him, not one team. There's actually 3 teams though that had no one actively rooting for them, and Logan is one of them as an honorable mention. So yeah, Logan's ranking was surprisingly low to me. Like I thought he might have been. I didn't think him to be expecting to be too much higher. I just was not expecting him to be the second biggest villain in the league.
Who was the third with a negative rating? Third team.
Oh, I'd have to really look. You were pretty down there, Ryan. I couldn't tell you the exact ranking, but it was not particularly close again in this one. It was a bit of a 2-horse race. We have Shrew having a pretty low ranking here at 1.6. That means everyone either picked always or mostly roots against Shrew for the most part. Logan's being a 2 means most of the teams mostly root against him.
Yep. Cool.
So then I believe the next slide in here is who is the biggest lover. So this is the person who gave out the most positive ratings. Who do we think gave out the most positive ratings?
This should really be the biggest Fong kisser.
You know, maybe when I send out the official version, I'll send it as the biggest fawn kisser.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Beans.
Beans is the
I think
biggest
Levi kisses Fawn.
Be me. I'm just trying to think of who thinks positively generally, but this is just a complete dart throw.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the biggest fawn kisser is none other than Levi himself. Levi giving out the rating of an average of 3.3, which is just slightly rooting for more teams than against. But yeah, Levi's the biggest fawn kisser in the GDFL. And a surprising second was Sokol. To be fair, though, Sokol doesn't really know anyone in this league besides me. So I'm not too shocked his rating was high there. But yeah, most people kind of hate on each other is kind of what I gathered. Levi's is slightly in the positive side, but even then it's really close to neutral.
I have a lot of allies compared to the standard team. And I love the picture you chose for me. You can hardly tell it's me.
I just thought it was the best picture of you. And just I thought this just encapsulated Levi Hubbard.
Yeah, Hubbard writing produced that photo.
Okay, so then the next one is the biggest hater. So who do we think gave the lowest ratings on each team?
You, Corn. I think it might have been you.
Okay.
Lose this
Logan.
season.
Okay, so you think it's Logan. Levi thinks it's me. The biggest hater is Beans.
Wow.
I guess Jake also gave out the exact. Actually, that's definitely a typo. Beans gave out ratings of a 1.9, not a 2.0. I'll need to fix that because it was very close between Beans and Jake. But yeah, Beans being the biggest hater is honestly probably what shocked me most. I don't really remember him giving a positive rating to hardly anyone.
What's his deal? Why is he so angry?
I don't know.
Just look at him. He's pissed.
I know. I mean, I'd be pissed too if I was wearing an outfit like that. So
Has Beans made the playoffs? He made it the first year,
yeah,
right?
Beans made it in year one, and he was gonna make it last year, but then decided to trade himself out of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he decided to enter a rebuild like midway through the season, despite having a winning record. So
It's looking bad for Beans this season too.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got Lamar and Bijan, but outside of that, he's got some pieces like JJ's a good building block for a rebuilding team. But yeah, his receiver core is pretty easily, I think, the worst in the league. I mean, I think McLaurin's is wide receiver one, and Sutton's probably wide receiver two, maybe Josh Downs. Oh no, he has Rashid Shaheed.
Shaheed.
He's got
Yeah.
Shaheed, maybe. But yeah,
He just shouting out Beans here. He really shot himself in the foot last year, trading away Jordan Love for Justin Fields, and I think Eckler was included in that deal.
yeah.
That looked good at
Hmm.
the time, but man, has that aged like milk.
Yeah, he also
He
got Rashi Rice in that deal too.
yes he did. Yes he did.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. So I can't. I think the next slide is league rivals. Who do you guys think the biggest league rivals are? So these were people who gave them each other ones.
Mm. Mm. This really sets the tone for a rivalry week in the schedule next year.
Hmm.
I think. Uh, league rivals. I could
Well,
see Logan and Jake as rivals. I could see myself and my younger brother Beans. That's a classic. I could see a Shrew Corn. I don't know. Levi?
well, in terms of the best rivalry to watch, I think me and Shrew are just there. But I don't think Shrew would have given me a one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say if it's the two people that gave each other ones, I think it was me and Beans. Because I
Okay.
know what I gave Beans. And if he's the biggest hater,
Oh, whoops. So, spoiler, that was not what was next. It was most polarizing. I received 5 negative votes and 5 positive votes, which made me the most polarizing player in the GDFL. I'm not too shocked by that as commissioner. I mean, I know the most people, and then like I don't know, either you love to root for me or love to root against me, I guess. Beans is also pretty polarizing, but he also I think had like 3 positives and 5 negatives rooting for him. I couldn't remember the exact ratio, but well, forgot
I
about this
actually
one.
don't think I gave Beans a one. I retract that. I think Jake and Beans would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty safe bet considering they're both the biggest haters.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So the next slide we're actually is going to be people who gave each other fives. Uh, so who do you think is most likely to be mutually rooting for each other?
Mm.
Well,
I
Levi, did you give me a five? I think I gave you I think you were my only five. And that's just because
well,
you still rock bottom.
I have been trying to figure out all day if I gave you a four or a five. I don't remember. I cannot confirm one way or the other. And
Yeah.
if I didn't give you a five, it's really because we're two teams in the same phase. We're kind of bound to
Get it.
cross paths at some point. I think I gave you either a four or five. I gave a five. I want to say Jake was a four or five. The biggest lover and the biggest hero. I'm bound to be in this, right? I think me and Stun. It's
Mm.
me and Stun.
So the pairs that gave you had the most mutual respect were me and Sokol, which was one I was not shocked by in the slightest. Me and Levi was one of them, and then Stun and Levi. So yeah, Levi, you nailed pretty much
Yeah,
all the
nailed.
numbers of. And then I also included the people who gave each other at least a four. This is a pretty short list. There's only like 7 real pairings that had mutual respect for each other. Me and
Mm.
Stun being two of them, me and Trevor being two of them. Again, I mean, Stun and I went to Pistons games. We've gone to Pistons games together for the last 2 winters. I'm not too shocked by that. Trevor and I have been hanging out more over the last few years, going to different, really, whenever he has extra tickets to sporting events. I'm on a short list of people to invite.
Has he earned his T?
No, absolutely not.
No, no. He's gotta get a win here before he gets that T.
Mm-hmm.
Might lose an R this season.
Oh man.
Ever, forever.
For forever.
Yeah, but again, the last two on here don't really shock me. I mean, Jake and Levi were roommates multiple occasions, and then Ryan and Levi, you guys are a long-standing friendship, so none of the ones on this list really shock me. It was just like nothing's really stronger than the power of friendship, though.
These are my allies.
Yep. Yeah, let it be known these are Levi's allies. All right. And then the biggest rivals. So there's three sets of people who each gave each other ones. It was Beans and Jake, Beans and Logan, and then me and Shrew. And
Well, I
again,
called corn shrew.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that one was pretty much a given. Like there was no way in hell I'm ever rooting for Shrew, and I knew the feeling would be mutual.
Yeah.
And then at least for me, like Jake and Ryan, like I know that we're gonna be rooting against each other again.
Yep.
Very similar reasons. Live together, have usually been close to the top of the standings. Always want to see you beat you.
Yep.
Beans Ryan, you called that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Ryan gave Beans a 2, which is the reason why it's not in the top category.
I feel bad for little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jake having a lot of rivals. I mean, he's on here 5 times. That doesn't shock me in the slightest. Logan Ryan being on here doesn't shock me in the slightest. Jake, the one that probably surprised me most was Jake Trevor. Apparently, there's a little bit of animosity there between those two. I'm not sure where that would have come from, but maybe one day they'll come on the podcast and spill the beans a little bit.
I look forward to that interview. And I want to hear both sides of that story.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next slide's going to be the one-sided hate. So these are people who one of them rate each other a 1 or a 2, and then the other side rate them a 4 or a 5. So these are people who it's some pretty one-way hate. So, yeah, the way I have it, so the people who are the haters are in the column on the left, and the people who are the lovers are in the column of the right. So Levi is a hater of Beans, even though Beans loves Levi. Beans is a hater of Corn, even though I'm rooting for Beans. And then Logan and Shrew both maybe should reevaluate some friendships, as they're both more so lovers than their friends seem to be.
I'm not super surprised to see their names on this list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to send Beans some flowers or something. That I didn't expect that.
yeah. I mean, just one that really shocked me was Shrew rooting for you, Levi, with how much shit you've talked him to group me in the past few months, and how much you've like paranoid him over taking Roma Dunze. That one was a bit of a shocker for me. Stun Shrew is also a bit of a shocker for me. I thought those two would have been rooting for each other, but apparently Stun does not want to see Shrew win. I mean, Stun, yeah, and like yeah, Logan being as much of a lover as he is to me, Jake and Stun was a bit of a surprise. I would have assumed he wanted to see all three of us lose, but apparently he's
It's
rooting
just
for all
me.
three of us.
Yeah, man. Looks like it's just me. He wants to see at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, giant man has a giant heart. Apparently,
Yeah.
I will say during the draft, me and Shrew had a touching moment where we seemed to at least come to an agreement, and it was after the Roma Dunze pick had taken place. So I'm not the only thing I can point to and say that's why, but I really just there's Batman and the Joker. Like I said, the Steelers and the Ravens, and then there's Levi and Shrew. You don't get much. I don't know what he was thinking here.
mm-hmm.
Love and hate, two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what I have next. Oh, it's just a chart of the ratings. So this gives just like an overall look of like how people were evaluated overall. I mean, both Shrew and Logan both received a lot of 1s. And then like the dark red here, Beans and Ryan both each got 3 1s, and then me, Jake, and Mark also got a few.
Shrew got 7 ones.
And Shrew got 7 1s. And like he got 1, 2, and then 3 neutrals. And I know for a fact so Mark gave a neutral to everyone. Like Mark just kind of
Mark
was pretty neutral about it. And I know Sokol gave a neutral to everyone but me. And again, just I don't know. That's just the way the cookie crumbled. But yeah, Levi was the only one with no negative ratings, and everyone else got at least 2 from other people. But then if you look at the chart, like me, Levi, Stun all have some positivity. Beans is also kind of polarizing, where he has some negativity, some positivity. Ryan, you're hated quite a bit. It looks like you had one person voting positively on you, and it happens to be one of the co-hosts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you live at the top and you gain some enemies.
Hmm. And I will say it's all league dependent too. Like in Adam's league, I definitely don't root against either of you. I root for the
Yeah.
people I know in the leagues I'm in with strangers. It's all a matter of perspective. But
Oh
for
yeah.
this league, fuck you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Who gave 2 negative reviews to Sokol? That's what I'll be wondering.
I
Uh,
think I did.
and then yeah, ratings given.
Oh.
So these are the people who are, like I said, so Jake gave out more negative ratings, but it gave out one really positive one, where Beans was just handing out negative ratings left and right here, especially with the ones. Wasn't too afraid to hold back. Chaz only had negative things to say about us. But like for the most part, I mean, at least when I was answering it, I was trying to like think of it as okay, like if I'm rooting against some people, I have to root for some. So then I try to make it as balanced as possible on my end. But
Yeah, it seems like mostly everyone took that approach.
mhm. Yeah,
Trevor gave out 1-1, huh?
Trevor gave out 1-1. And then I believe it was, I'll have to double check. We'll see who it is in the next slide. Because this is the full matrix of who gave out what. So here on the rows, these are the people, these are the rankings that they gave to people. And in the columns, these are the rankings that people received. So yeah, Trevor gave Jake a 1. Trevor, for whatever reason, really roots against Jake.
Probably because he took his tea.
Probably, yeah, that has to be it. He took his T away.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I really like the heat map with this because you can like really get a good grasp of, especially like looking at each of these columns. Like Logan, no one had anything nice to say about Logan. No one had anything nice to say about Mark. Especially no one had anything nice to say about Shrew.
Ugh.
Well, yeah. The mean is okay. Gotcha. Wow. Huh.
Hmm.
Bad. True.
Yeah, so it looks like Sokol and I were tied for third for the league hero rating, and that was with completely neutral scores.
And if I were Shrew, I'd consider quitting.
I mean, if I owned Caleb Williams, I'd quit immediately.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm just like looking again at the league haters. Ryan, you were actually looks like third among like biggest haters in the league.
Yeah.
Stun's kind of, I mean, close-ish, but like most people for the most part were giving rankings down the middle.
Man, I didn't get one negative one.
You got nothing negative. The most negative thing you got was neutral, Levi.
Man, I
And
spend a lot of time in your guys' inboxes. I'm shocked that no one had something worse to say about me.
I'm surprised Shrew didn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the most surprising rating to me was Levi or Shrew giving Levi a 4. That was one where I was like, you most not only is it not negative, it's actually positive.
Well, and I don't know if this full reveal has happened yet, but just for league notice, Levi, how did you rank Romo Dunze versus Drake May?
Oh, well, it's interesting that you bring this up because I personally had Drake May above Romo Dunze. And this is full disc. I have nothing to gain by telling this. The honest to God truth is, I really took a roll of the dice and took Romo Dunze out of spite, first and foremost. Two, it did end up landing me who I wanted and a really good receiver. Brock Bowers is great, but anyone who looks at my team this year, last year, the prior years, teams in other leagues, I just don't value tight ends in fantasy. I think they're great. I think they're very important for real football. But with where that market's at, I didn't want to take Brock Bowers. And Brock Bowers is turning out to be great. But I 100% don't regret that. I'm very glad Shrew didn't get the high end prospect. And yeah, Shrew, I mean, I never bluffed. I really did take the guy I kept telling you I would take. But yeah, I've been a Drake May guy for quite some time now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I valued Brock Bowers as the sixth best prospect. And they say to take the the talent and trade for the position you need, right? But I think that was just an excellent use of draft capital and playing the board. So props to you there, Mr. Cowman.
Thank you. And true, fuck you, dude. I mean, you fell for it.
All right, so we only have a few minutes here left on the podcast until the Zoom meeting is going to close us out. Do either of you have any closing thoughts to wrap us up?
I just think the breaking news of Christian Kirk and Cooper Kupp has the potential to be a turning point in the season. We rarely see only Zion 69 put guys on the block. So I just want to reiterate I think that's a bigger deal than it may show to be. Even if they're not spot on great guys to go after, that may speak volumes as to where Jake's at.
I'll certainly place an offer.
Yeah, you might see me sending an offer. We'll see what happens.
My closing thought has to do with the Lions. I think our Lions on the offensive side of the ball, both play calling and execution, we need to clean it up. The defense has been holding down the fort here, and that's not something we've been able to say for a number of years. So credit Aaron Glenn. But O needs to clean it up. O-line needs to give Goff some more protection, and Goff's gotta go earn that contract, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm there with you. The defense has been playing phenomenal. The offense cleaned up some of those turnovers. The red zone offense is really what's been killing them. Not being able to finish drives, settling for field goals, or settling for fourth down attempts that don't convert. That's really you live by the sword, die by the sword, but you really got to clean up the goal line work and the red zone work for the Lions to have a good season.
I placed quite a bit of fault on our OC Ben Johnston. I think he's got to clean it up. I'm hoping that this isn't a one-trick pony situation where defensive coordinators have figured him out. So let's go Lions this week. Let's clean it up this week.
All right. And
go Lions.
Go Lions.
Go Cows.
Yeah.
Go poop.
Go Stink Kings. But with that, that's going to be the end of the GDFL podcast. Thank you all for listening, and hope you all have a good week, except Sherwin Logan. All right.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.